Spoken mate, I haven't thought about flying for a long time. I haven't dreamed of that moment when I was alone above the clouds for a long time. I have dreamed of waking up in a room surrounded in blue and green grass for more years than I could dream of remembering. I haven't walked back into the past or scratched on the doors of my origins, where it all came from, since I held up that cape for the last time.
Return to Cape Town 10th Year Anniversary Edition is a revised version of Andy N's first poetry book. The book can be purchased from Amazon and it contains numerous additional material.
Spoken Label. Hi, it's Andy N from Spoken Label. Thank you today for streaming or downloading another episode of Spoken Label. Spoken Label was originally set up on beginning of 2016 and as of speaking has currently nearly 300 sessions. The full archive is available on Spoken Label bandcamp.com. Although it is available for free for stream and download if you wish, I am always grateful for any sort of kind of donation to enable me to keep the running costs of this podcast going. And enjoy. Take care. Bye bye.
Hi guys, Andy N, Spoken Able, back in the house on a Sunday afternoon. I've had trouble with the laptop today, so this is going to be an interesting experience. I hope it holds up. But anyway, we're over to Eccles today, and it's nice work. I've got a localist gentleman with me, and he doesn't live that far from where I work actually. The day job, but he's new to Manchester, but he has lived here before, and he's been in London for the past couple of years. Now, I'm not. He's just trying to teach me how to pronounce his surname, and I'm not. I think I'm going to get it wrong again, so I'm just going to call him Dean. I'll let Dean introduce himself to everybody. over to you, mate. Okay, Dean. I know we've been chatting on Facebook and bits and pieces for a while, so obviously introduce yourself to everybody. Tell them obviously who you are, where you come from originally, and a bit about your background. We'll start from there.
Perfect, will do. Thank you very much, Andy, and I do appreciate you using up your internet for this because it's been a bit tumultuous. So I really appreciate it, mate. But yes, my name is Dean Rhetoric. I'm a very proud working class poet, originally born in the Midlands in Hereford. I moved to Manchester in 2012 and I lived there for about 6-7 years. Unfortunately, got laid off at my job. I was working at a steel factory in Altrincham and ended up trying my luck in London for 4 or 5 years. And now I'm very happy to be back in Manchester, which I feel is my home. Very much enjoying Eccles. And yeah, regarding my poetry, I'm sure you've had guests who've done this before, but I don't have an MA or anything like that. I'm not trained, if you like, as some of the more lofty poets might call it. But I played in several bands for several decades. I always enjoyed writing song lyrics. I enjoyed writing screenplays, short stories, and things like that. And I just happened to stumble into poetry by finding some amazing sort of independent poets. Not the type you particularly learn about in school. Not that they really taught poetry in our school anyway. But from there, I developed a love of poetry that was a little bit outside of the sort of mainstream stuff you'd find well, at the time anyway. Maybe it's a bit more mainstream now. And at the moment, I'm here and very happy to be here. So thank you very much, Andy, for having me again, mate.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I know we were talking before because I know obviously from reading up on you, a lot of your works come from your love of music, really, hasn't it? So. And it's like you said before about being in bands and stuff. So, what music did you grow up listening to with them?
It did come from that originally. Yeah, it's an odd thing because I know poetry. Obviously, people say it's so lyrical, but it's not something I didn't fall in love with the lyrical poets or anything. But there's a huge comparison to music. When I was a kid, obviously, I think everyone tries to deny this, but I listened to whatever was on the radio. Bloody Spice Girls or whatever, Michael Jackson, things like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's where my influence comes from, the Spice Girls. There you go, done.
No, you do realise I'm going to write this up now for everyone listening.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it was a music class. I mean, my mum loved Motown and Elvis. My dad was huge into punk rock, which is where I developed my love of punk. I remember bunking off school one day in primary school, no one was home, and I found his old vinyl, and I remember playing Holiday in Cambodia by the Dead Kennedys. I don't know if you know that song, Andy.
But, yeah, I do actually. Yeah, I do. I was in a band with somebody that actually met Jello Biafra once, actually. And he said he was, I'm not going to repeat what I'm going to say on mic, but a mate said to me he was an interesting character.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, that's that band itself. I mean, I don't know about you, but obviously we all have that one experience. But that was my first experience of music that had some sort of a visceral reaction within me, because the way he sang terrified me and actually gave me nightmares. And I'd never heard guitars like it, and I became a little bit obsessed with punk rock. And I'd go from my dad's old cassettes. But for me, in terms of when I started finding my voice writing and things like that, it was pretentious as that sounds, finding your voice. But, it was very much that sort of young 90s rebel. I sort of found, this doesn't sound rebellious, but it was for me, obviously. I'd like Weezer, who I really enjoyed their first couple of albums, early Green Day, a lot of American punk bands like Bad Religion, Dillinger 4, Rancid, NoFX, and all these American bands came up, and they were sort of really, they're really pissed off with the world, and they had a lot to say, whether it was about anything from heartbreak to a little bit about government stuff, but I just really connected with that. And from there, obviously, I started playing in some really terrible punk bands, but bloody hell, we had a good time.
We've all done them. I've done them before now, to be honest, as well. So, first band I was in, I was 18, 30 odd years ago, and we were called After Midnight, and we were like, bloody awful. A goth metal band, right? I had my hair, I had a big wig on. And I remember this, and we were doing really bad Cure imitations, right? Oh, God. I had a 26-inch waist, and I had tight leather pants on all the time. Anyway, I know what you mean about terrible first band. You do, don't you? Like it? I think it's that age, you just got to do them, haven't you? So
it is, and it's kind of. This is only my point of view, again, as someone who's not particularly trained in poetry, if that term works, but there's something quite romantic about that old punk rock attitude that I take with poetry is, there might be 20 people in the crowd and 10 of them don't give a damn, but like, it's still wonderful fun, and there's something wonderful about it. And, you might get one person coming up after the gig going, hey, that was pretty good. And think, there you go, it's all worth it. But yeah, nothing like getting in a van and playing in front of 8 people, getting ripped off for a payday you were promised at the door and all that. It's all very good fun. It's all part of it.
Oh yeah, no, it's got to be done definitely with that one. So I agree with you completely.
I will say, Andy, if you do have any evidence of that band, please do post it online somewhere. I'd love to see it.
I've only got the lyrics, and they're basically just they're very bad Joy Division rip-offs, right? So I'll probably get sued if they end up publishing them. So best not, as I would say, mate.
I love it.
That's right. Anyway, mate.
That's very funny, because that was.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, yeah, it was very much my early stuff was pretty much the same. I mean, it was very bad lyrics that ripped off a lot of the bands that I thought were great, and I think that's important, though. You grow over the years, and then that sort of developed into poetry, and then that got better over the years. But especially in high school and things like that, we weren't really a school that had a big poetry workshop or anything. I think it's great they do it now, as far as I know, anyway. But I think we read a total of 2 poems. There was one famous poem, I Give You an Onion, that Valentine's poem by I'm showing how bloody out of experience I am here with a very famous poet who I'll get rinsed for not knowing. But yeah, it was that poem. And to be fair, there was a John Cooper Clarke poem which I really enjoyed as well. But that was about it. We spent about half a day on it, and that was that. And as ignorant as it sounds, I generally believe poetry was a thing that was hundreds of years ago. Poetry, it doesn't really happen now, does it? And of course, it very much does. But funny enough, as a comparison to punk rock, it's one of those things where when you discover it, you go, why isn't this more popular? This is fantastic. Everybody that does this is incredible. I can't believe this isn't more popular. So in terms of writing, I ended up, I was working as a foundryman at the time. Nice plug for my full collection in 2023, Foundry Songs, which is a bit more about working as a foundryman for like 10 years in the Midlands. But I ended up putting myself through university for a creative writing degree. Very lucky that I got screenplay. The BBC invited me in to pitch and discuss it with some producers. But what I learned there was my first lesson in class structures, if you like, not to get on a soapbox here, but it's one of those things where this is very good. Can you be available at an hour's notice anytime we call you? Well, no, because I've got a job and I work 10 hours a day. So, and then that door very promptly closes,
Yeah, and I've had the same problem myself sometimes, stuff like that. You do, because I know I can remember when Amanda ended up on BBC. What do you call it now? The BBC Greater Manchester, where they had their upload program, and they basically. Yes. I remember them ringing her when. Long story short, I was isolating like year before last, and I remember that because she was in the middle of her working herself, and she got the phone call at home, and she couldn't believe it. That's why sometimes it's trying to get hold of people sometimes, isn't it? So.
It really is, and it can be deflating. I mean, I did spend a day there, but it's I didn't have a lot of money, so I put on the best cheap pair of jeans I could find, the nice jacket, which was a tattered leather jacket that I had, and I just sat in the room. And it's just that weird thing. Immediately, I sat there, and I just felt I do not belong in this room. Like, there was nothing against the other writers there, but a lot of them were very well spoken, very well turned out, and I felt like a bit of a fraud as soon as I sat down. It's very disheartening. But to be, like you said, to Amanda, to get that far, I mean, they get thousands of application things, so it's amazing that to even get that as an achievement. It's just unfortunate, like you said, that there's not more opportunities, really, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm always believing in that one straight away, because it's like, looking at your bio, you've had some good opportunities, certainly, because the one that caught my eye before I was looking at your bio was the Pushcart Prize, where you got a nomination for that. So tell us about that then, because I'm interested in learning how you got that then.
Yeah, and I said that actually ties in with the musicality with the poems that I've done for this collection. So
right.
So it was. This is a good thing. I mean, the Pushcart Prize and the poem that was nominated does link quite well with Cancer and Pop Punk, this musical pamphlet I'm doing at the moment. So at the beginning of my poetry, I was writing on a lot of websites, poetry groups, and maybe other poets can relate to this. It was rewarding at first, but after a while, it becomes a thing where everyone just goes, "Oh, this is great." And nobody gets any better that way. So I made friends with a few poets who really challenged me and were critical of some of the things I tended to do. And one of the things they said I tended to do was I didn't like to be open and raw about personal things. It was all very sort of all surface, no feeling, to quote a Manic Street Preacher song. And I really wanted to push myself. And the poem that got nominated was a poem about a great album I've always loved, REM's Automatic for the People. I don't know if you listened to it, Andy, or if you know it.
Yeah, but, that was that the one that had Losing My Religion on? Was it all that album before?
It's not. That was the album before, I believe.
It was, yes.
This is one that had
Everybody Hurts on it. Yeah, got it. Yeah,
yes,
the album now. Yeah,
I'll remember. Man on the Moon. Yeah, all that. Yeah, so I offset that with, it's a very formative album to do with a friend of mine who I lost in high school, who unfortunately took his own life, and losing my ex-partner of 8 years to cancer. And what I did was I used the album's template and track listing as a sort of bedding for the poem, like the spine of it. And I in between, I'd write this quite raw stuff about losing someone, and cross-referencing the fact that every time I listen to that album now, I think about my friend that I lost, I think about my ex-partner, and it all sort of brings it back every time you listen to it. And that poem's actually in Cancer and Pop Punk now. So I was very fortunate that I got put it with an American press who they liked it. They asked if they could put it out, and about 6 months later, they just happened to mention that they nominated it for the Pushcart Prize because it got quite a bit of movement online. I mean, indie poetry online buzz, so really realistically that's like 10 people, but still I was very happy with it. But yeah, it was very nice to get nominated, if nothing else. I mean, it's something that you can put in your Twitter bio that people go, "Oh, that's nice," and then that's about it. But I was very lucky to do that. And the important thing from there is I learned a valuable lesson that it's important to sometimes surround yourself by people that go, "You can do better on this draft, you can push yourself a bit, you're not being very raw here." And that poem was the sort of bedrock for what became Cancer and Pop Punk as well, because when Broken Sleep contacted me about doing a collection, it was originally a full length, and they very kindly said, "You can do a pamphlet as well, like anything you'd like to do." And I said, "I'd really like to do something where first of all, I want to call it Cancer and Pop Punk, and I want the proceeds, at least the author royalties anyway, they all go to charity. It goes to a wonderful organization called Widowed and Young. It's a very small charity in Derby that helps widows get over the grieving process, communicate a bit more, start being a bit more social. It's only a small charity, but I think that was a really important thing to do. So I'm really happy with doing that. The whole theme of the collection really is connecting music to grief, because it's a very odd thing, but I noticed the more people I lost and the more tragedy there was in my life, if you like, not to get too melodramatic about it, when people would talk about people I'd lost, I found myself like going la 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 and like covering my ears and I couldn't even acknowledge it. So it was a very odd thing that these intrusive thoughts would stick in my head like a pop song, if you like, and they wouldn't leave. So that's something I really wanted in the collection, that it does grieve, but it also has this musical element where these intrusive thoughts just do not leave your head, almost like the chorus of a song. Even if you don't like the song, those songs that just stay in your head. I wanted it to be a bit like that.
Yeah, no, of course, I agree with you completely. It's what I've seen your work, Dean. That's why I'd agree. That's why I agree completely. Like, you've got a very musical element to your words. and it's music almost like his words are almost like the music side of things. You're not getting completely with it, so.
Oh, thank you, mate. Yeah, and also it's a weird because with cancer and pop punk, the main reason I called it cancer and pop punk, it doesn't always reference pop punk music. There's REM, there's 100 other bands I reference in there, but the idea of this sort of music here on the radio that even if you don't like it, it doesn't leave your head. And it can get really frustrating, like an earworm. It just doesn't leave. So I wanted it to be like that. So the main reason for calling it cancer and pop punk, despite the fact it references a lot of musical genres, was that reason, that I feel it's the one genre of music that just doesn't leave your bloody head. So
yeah, no, great. Excellent stuff, mate. How long did it take you to do this collection? Was it quite a while to write, or did it come fairly quickly when you got going with it?
Fairly quickly when I got going with it. I'd been, as you know yourself, obviously somebody who writes very consistently for the last 10 15 years or so at least. I know you've been writing for a long time, mate. I was working I was working on a full length collection. This is for Broken Sleep in 2023, and I just wanted to stop because I felt I was like hyper focusing on it. I said I wanted to do something a bit more experimental and something completely different, and that was cancer and pop punk. So from concept to finish, it probably took about 3 months, but which is I do feel it was good to it was a bit more freeing to be able to have a bit more freedom and be a bit more experimental. And weirdly enough, because it was for a good cause, I did feel, not that there was less pressure, but I did feel right, I can be a bit more experimental, like a bit more free flowing. And there's no point in calling a collection cancer and pop punk if you're not going to really sort of dig in a bit and talk about some of your personal stuff, if you like. So it came a bit faster than I expected it to be honest. And within a couple of edits, obviously Aaron Kent, who runs Broken Sleep Books, he helped with the editing, wonderful editor. And before we knew it, we had a collection that everyone's quite happy with. So I was well chuffed with how it went, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, completely. And how did you meet your publisher then?
Well, Broken Sleep is quite a funny one because the guy who runs the press, Aaron, I've known him since he ran a very small press called I Came Here Looking for a Fight.
What a name for a press.
Oh, isn't it? That's funny.
Wow.
That's why I submitted to them. So they put out very small handmade pamphlets, but I found their press and I was like, I have to submit to this press. And then I sent them a submission, but unfortunately, so the editor, Aaron, is a huge fan of Kanye West. I'm not particularly, but I thought it'd be funny to do a Kanye West style submission. So I sent a submission. I'd had a few drinks. I thought it was funny. I sent a submission going, here's my godlike poetry. I'm the second coming of Jesus. You're going to want to put these out because they're incredible godlike poems. And I stole one of Kanye West's rants in the submission email, thinking he'd get the joke. Instead, he thought I was a moron. He thought he was actually the best poet in the world. So that didn't work out very well. But,
whoops.
Yeah. Oh, well, you live and learn, don't you?
Yeah. But good. It's a lesson there, everybody. When you're doing submissions to publishers, don't get drunk.
And obviously, I did not think that at all. I thought everyone would get in on the joke, but unfortunately, that left a bad taste, I think, for a while. Luckily, for years of just writing and submitting places, I knew Aaron quite well anyway. And Broken Sleep, that's something he started, I think it's about 3 years ago now. And he's just had this huge growth. They published some incredible stuff. They've won some awards. And he very kindly just got in touch and said, I think it's about time you put something out and, it should be with us, which is very kind of him. It's probably one of the few presses in the UK where they can really just go, we like that person's writing, we're going to put it out. Obviously, you want to sell a lot of books in any business, but I do feel they're one of the few presses that are truly sort of, we are putting this out because we like it. Of course, we want it to sell well, but the important thing is we think it's different and great and we're going to put it out. So they're a very fascinating press in that sense. And to be honest, it just comes from, as you know, Andy, some of the connections you make just from years of being about, publishing in magazines, submitting places. And so it was nice that it came from that instead of, some random, poetry agents, things like that. I don't even know if they exist, to be honest. I think I'm very fortunate that Aaron is a champion of working class writers. He comes from quite a similar background to me, so I think he just wanted to give me a shot, I think, more than anything, to be honest, which is very kind of him. I know they get a lot of submissions, and I know he has to read for a lot of stuff, and it's done pretty much a one-man show, I believe. Maybe there's a handful of other people, so apologies in advance if there is, but it's incredible what they get done at that press. So I'm very proud to be part of it and to be able to put some money towards a good cause. But yeah, weirdly enough, it comes from me making a complete tit of myself in an email years ago, and clearly made an impression, bad or good.
No, brilliant. I think you're right that with a lot of poetry press I know, I do know one or two that obviously have extra people helping them, but a lot of it is down to the efforts of one person usually. And the same goes to the podcasting world, really, because this is just me, really. Well, what Amanda Moy helps listens back to things occasionally for me. But like you said, everything you do, like I think it's the good thing the poetry is, and grassroots level. This applies to you straight away. It's all just you basically. You're unfiltered, uncensored a lot of the time.
Yeah, exactly, and it is fascinating because my big worry of mine was always that I would never sort of do well with a poetry crowd, if you like. But what I find fascinating is people that have snippets of it. It's all people I grew up with, or people that don't read poetry that I know, that have picked it up and gone, oh, I didn't know that poetry was like this. I think a lot of people still have the idea in their head of poetry being about like some Shakespearean sonnet or a poem about some, chestnut tree in Oxford or something, because it's always there. It sort of permeates through. It can be something that people can just relate to. It's especially with cancer and pop punk. I wanted to make sure that poetry, a lot of the big poems, they tend to be about someone being hero, someone being heroic, someone being great. I wanted to admit that I can be, in times of like grief and trauma and bad things happening in life, I can be a bit of a coward. I can mess up. I can be a bad person. And obviously that's relatable. So what I found so far in the feedback is it's nice for people to read something that's hopefully honest. I think if anything else, I'm proud that it's very honest, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I like what you're doing, and that's what I like what you work. Yeah, is the honesty behind it, because what you see is what you get with you. You're not like it's my case. I can malign it and poetry, but I mean, but I'm very clever what I say, right? So long.
Well, I suppose you've had the same idea. Have you ever written something you've been like, oh man, this is a bit too close to the bone up. I almost don't want people knowing this about me, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that means you're in a good zone for writing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Using my cowardly to hide them, right? But yeah. No, seriously. I've got something out later on this year myself for the publisher. Not a collection. I've got a poem out with them on their big anthology. They made quite a good publisher, and it's about dyspraxia, because I got registered dyspraxia when I was 28, and it was like, and I wrote all that, and I remember reading that. I've read that one out a few places, and everyone said to me, "Well, the honesty behind it." I remember thinking myself afterwards, it was all true, but I was a bit really twitchy about sharing it. And you do sometimes, and poetry is that honest to yourself, don't you, son?
It really is, and I totally agree. And I'm so glad you wrote that, because I had no idea, mate. And that's a fascinating thing for people to hear. But I'm sure, like you said, I mean, same with my REM poems. Like for a while, it was just, oh, I can't believe I performed that. People know this now. It's such a weird feeling, but it's so rewarding when people come up and they're nice about it.
Yeah, no, completely, mate. I agree with you completely with that one. So, right, okay. Obviously, people are wondering, obviously, the collection's out on the 28th of February. But what I always like asking now, as we wind this part down, Dean, is obviously, apart from the collection, do you have any other sort of creative plans in motion at the moment? Anything else you can talk about?
I do have, I mentioned it briefly, but I do have a full-length collection coming out with Broken Sleep in 2023 called Foundry Songs. That's a bit more about just growing up, working class lad in the Midlands, working in jobs that, might be a bit dramatic, but really destroy your body and your lungs. I mean, I've got some breathing issues from breathing in some rather toxic fumes over the last 10 years or so when I was working those types of jobs. There's a little bit as well about just sort of the industry. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I did not perform well in school. I'm not an academic person. And this is when I left school, which was like 2001. Industry and factories were still something you could go into, and it was good, honest work. It was very hard work, but you could make a living out of it. And seeing that slowly disappear as I got into my mid to late 20s and early 30s, and I'm lucky I found copywriting, but it's a lot of Foundry Songs is about sort of, well, where do I go now? What is there in the world? And it's that idea of just trying to figure out who you are in the world, if you like, which is not the most unique concept in the world, but I'm very proud of what we've written. So that'll be coming out in 2023, I believe, and that'll be a full length from Broken Sleep books.
We'll get you back in next year to talk about that then.
Definitely. Oh, bless you, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll have 200 questions about that book on the other time as well.
Fantastic.
So everyone's wondering that might go into about 4 parts, that interview, Dean. Definitely
sounds good. We'll release a special edition directed by Peter Jackson. I've got 4 different edits.
We've got help us, Rob. Hopefully the sound bit that's now, obviously, to conclude, Dean, obviously today then, mate. Obviously, where can people get your collection from, first of all?
So yeah, Cancer and Pop Punk is available to pre-order now, although as you said, it's not released till the 28th of February. You can get it at brokensleepbooks.com. I'm sure it's going to be available on all the other channels once it does launch. But, I would implore everyone to help out a really good press and buy it directly from the press, obviously. I don't care about climbing Amazon rankings or indie press rankings or anything like that. I just want to see a good press do well. And obviously, I would like to see it sell well because all of the money's going to a really good cause. But if nothing else, I just implore people to support independent presses that really bust their backsides to put out challenging work that isn't particularly mainstream, but that, while it might not, end up on any bestsellers lists, it really encourages people to maybe pick up a pen or a keyboard themselves. And that's what it's all about, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I believe that straight away. It does. It encourages the underground scene of poetry to keep going there, definitely. Now, if people want to get in cold of you, Dean, or read up about you, where do you recommend they go?
That's interesting because, this has been a bane of contention for a while. I'm not the most online human being in the world. I've got social media, but I don't have a website with links to all my poems and stuff. That will change. I've had it in the ear from several peers who I respect very much that it needs to happen and people need to be able to find your stuff. For now, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Dean_Rhetoric. That's about it at the moment for social media and things like that. I'm doing a few interviews and a few podcasts leading up to the promotion, but in terms of actually finding links to my work, I'm ashamed to say that unfortunately there's no place you can go and click on a load of different links here and there because I'm terrible at self-promotion.
So I love about you, Dean. You're as disorganized as I am sometimes.
Exactly. So. I'm sure you've had the same, Andrew. People go, where can I get a link to this new song you've done or this music you've done or this poem you've done? Oh, I've got a link somewhere. I'll email it you. Maybe I forget.
Yeah, more chance of me I forget, right? So I know exactly what I'm like. So anyway, Dean, what we'll do, mate, we'll wrap up part one for you, mate. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to give you as much time as you need to read out a few poems for us. So it's been a pleasure today, mate. It's been great fun. So hang around, everybody, because Dean's brilliant. So we'll see you in part two.
Thank you, Andy. Cheers, mate.
Spoken, mate.
Guys, still here with Dean. Still got sound problems, but we're here. So I'm going to shut up now and pass the mic over to Dean. Go for it, mate.
Thank you very much, Andy. Okay, so the first poem I'm going to read, this is from Cancer and Pop Punk, obviously. Very lucky that this was a semi-finalist in the Crab Creek Review Poetry Prize that was judged by Maggie Smith. This is part of Cancer and Pop Punk, and the title is Love Letter to Your Animal Decomposition. Count the times you've attended the death party of a bile duct. Statistically, you could be invited to one in every 1,200 gatherings. On average, it takes 12 months of radiation to change a photograph into a sympathy card, curling into the fire pit under your chin and swallowed like warm bread of pigmentation. On average, a friend will offer 20 minutes of emptiness, whispering about the dead and what a shame it is that we can't make them less dead. Lungs will be respectfully unbuttoned, hung safely with the catheter. The fruit platter, sentimental. The apple's eye, still seeding. The solitary pulse of a carnation. A wall, Jackson Pollocked by a fist. In the garden, a laughing child will be thrown at God by parents. In the hallway, a mother sobbing in the stretcher marks of her daughter's dress. This bile duct will stagger to your doorstep, late and upside down for grief, a drunken black effigy cackling on its arm. The backscatter of a passing hearse will throw envelopes of light at the open window, sealed love letters to your animal decomposition. I won't shout, I won't cry. I will make the opposite of a scene. It's getting loud outside, and your silence has everywhere to be. As an aside, that poem is basically about losing a loved one and for some reason imagining the actual cancer showing up at the party as sort of a drunk, unwelcome guest. So that's a nice little imaginative, very gothic-like poem, I guess.
Yes, it does. Really powerful, that one, mate. Did you actually get a chance to meet Maggie Smith during that nomination thing? Then did you?
I did not. I would have loved to have done that, but it was very much, 20 or so poets got selected by her. 15 got in the issue that was printed. I was one of those lucky enough to, and then they chose an eventual winner. But no, I never had any communication. It would have been nice. Though. It would have been nice. That'd have been a nice little connection to make.
Oh, yeah, completely. I entered some competition myself in a horror story thing last year, and people can read up this dead easily. Where I ended up among quite a lot of writers. Ramsey Campbell, have you heard of him, the Welsh horror writer?
Yes.
selected me in the top 3. And I'll send you over the comment. You can hear it.
Please,
and what he said, and it's a really depressing piece that I wrote, but not that it's complete fiction. But it's basically he gives some incredible praise on it, and you can hear it. And I'm sat there thinking, "Oh my God, you're like OMG completely in it." So you do. So you get little things like that. And like it just gives you confidence to write boo sometimes. As writers to general with anybody. So, but anyway, Dean, that was a tremendous piece, mate. So I loved it. Okay, let's move straight on because I'll be here all night after it. Otherwise, what's your second one, mate?
Second one is called Donation Box. Sticking to the theme of rather morbid stuff. This is a person more recently in my life who had to go to hospital for a procedure, again to do with cancer, and it's about letting your mind sort of walk away with you. So anyway, it's called Donation Box. When I took off your clothes, I hoped the tumor would come with them. For a while, I even believed it to be true. The washing machine started to lose weight. The threads of your favorite jumper began falling out in clumps. I cut my hands across the impression of your stomach in the mattress to soundproof it from flipping when the doctors called. I practiced how my footsteps would beat yours to the telephone, how I'd nail what they cut out of you to the front door as a warning to other ailments. Sometimes I'd hear movement in the kitchen and find your jeans kick thumping with mine in the dryer. At night, your gloves would scuttle up the bedpost as I slept, one covering my mouth, the other between my legs, checking. And this final poem that I'll be reading is a section.
Wow, that second one's grim, but it's powerful, definitely, right? Oh, almighty. Wow. Anyway, listen, go straight to the third one, mate. We'll talk more in a minute.
No worries, thank you, mate. This is another part of Cancer and Pop Punk, obviously, and in the collection, it all kind of goes as one long form poem, but this section is called Fighting Styles of Cancer. Catchers catch can style, Greco-Roman style, amateur style, professionally, in a cage, in the garden, Rose or Madison Square, appreciation style, prayer style, good fiber style, so brave style, so far so good style, so what style, new home style, strong oak style, surgical style, MOT style, back alley tinker style, blame God style, bubblegum pop style, Swift style, Bowie style, secretly, shake it off style, Kanye style, storming your stage 2 and insisting someone else deserves it more style, sing around the piano style, Greek chorus style, concept album style, CAT scan style, church mouse style, dog sadness and sewing needle style, Tropic of style, arcade style, marketing agency style, no tears formula style, salt of the earth style, good lad style, wishing you all the best style, humble as a beef and mustard sandwich style, spaghetti western style, sing-along style, with a diagnosis, big and loud style, a shock. Thank you.
Oh, tremendous, mate. It's great use. That is, Emery's into rhythm sort of poetry. The repetition there is absolutely spot on there, Dean, I thought, because I think sometimes, and you know this yourself and you other people, when you do that sort of rhythm and the repetition in poetry, you can overdo it sometimes. But you have that perfect. You're perfect then, mate. You can see that was really well thought out then immediately.
Oh, good man. Thank you very much, Andy. I really appreciate that. You're very kind, mate.
I'm always kind and honest. I'm aware I can be anyway, right? So, anyway, Dean, listen, mate, hang around anyway, because I do need to talk to you off mic. But I want to thank you again for today, mate, and good luck with the collection. Like before, Evans, it's a very well worth collection as by picking up, definitely. So, I'm going to try and get a copy myself, definitely, when I get into February and March as well. So, thank you again, mate. And I look forward to hopefully meeting you soon in person as well. Because
very soon. Are you whiskey and Diet Coke, mate? And I do appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much, mate.
Sounds good to me, mate. Right, as Don Callis says over at Impact Wrestling, I know Dean is a wrestling fan as well. I don't know if you know this saying he comes out with actually. No, Dean. Is one of his sayings, and I always use this to finish off Spoken Naval, is stay safe and stay over. So we'll see you all next time, guys.
Spoken Naval.